We don't call it waste anymore. If you look in your trash can, it's all resources. And there's markets for 85% of what's in that trash can. So we will set your business up to recycle, to compost, to recycle your hard to recycle stuff like computers and styrofoam, and then whatever's left. We don't even call it trash. We call it whatever's left in the contract. And if we do our job right, there's very little left. And we've got some local businesses up to 90% recovery levels. Now, the way we do that is first we take them 3 or 4 months down the recycling and composting road. Then we look in the dumpster and we see what's still left. And lo and behold, they're still buying styrofoam coffee cups for their cafeteria. So what we do is we'll go to the purchasing agent and we'll say, look, here are some items you can buy that you can recycle or compost instead of throw away. So we start getting them to look at their purchasing practices. And so that's how we drive them ever closer to zero. And EcoCycles created an online e-store, we call it, to make that purchasing behavior easy for them. So this is just some of our local stuff. A groundbreaking new alternative to traditional garbage collection service. Basically what we're saying is for the amount that you're spending today on trash and recycling, we can bring you a zero waste program for marginally more. It's a great sales pitch. People love it. We've been at it 5 years. I think we've achieved break even right now. It's very difficult to calculate the P&L on this kind of a service because there is a lot of hand-holding. There's a lot of time spent in education to make sure that people understand how it's done. So we're creating something new here that we think is going to be franchisable eventually. So that's, you know, if you want to save the world from behind the wheel of a biodiesel truck, this is the program for you, and I think it's just going to keep growing. We're talking to some investor types out east who have recommended that we could package this and then go into little town Americas or big cities Americas and buy small trash haulers who might have 1,000 clients in Detroit and just buy that business and convert it within a week instead of building it up from the bottom. And that's really interesting. So my goal in the next 2 years is to package this thing to see if we could entice some investment to move into cities around the country and start buying little trash haulers and making them into zero waste. I took over EcoCycle and I told Mary, I am going to make 10% on everything that EcoCycle touches. And half the board looked at me and said, that's illegal. And it's like, no, it's not. The IRS tax code says that a nonprofit can make as much money as they can. It's just what you do with the profit that counts. It has to go back into the mission. And so what I did was I renegotiated all the contracts we had at the time with the city and with IBM and with and the county, and I was very transparent and I said, we have to make 10% so we can grow and handle what's happening. I knew the 90s were going to be big for recycling, and it was. And so that's the essence of social enterprise right there, is that you're going after a mission and you're financially self-sufficient, hopefully making some money. Scotland is way ahead of us on this. England is way ahead of us on this because they hit the economic wall 10 years ago. Tony Blair realized that to get people back to work, he needed to broaden the participation of the marketplace. Government couldn't do it all. The market won't do it all because the profit motive is not there, and charity is a band-aid. So what was needed was a new way, a fourth way. And that's what they created over in England in the last 10 years. It's called social enterprise. And I want you to notice the word enterprise as opposed to entrepreneur. In America, we promote the social entrepreneur. And that's so classic American, the rugged individual. It's all up to the person to do this. Right? Wrong. Enterprise is a legal structure. It's not about the individual. It's about the legal structure for doing business. And that's the fourth way. The winners pay for the losers. That's our business model. There are recyclers out there that do just metals. Scrap metal is profitable, and it'll never be unprofitable again. Paper has achieved profitability, and it's not going back. Plastic is getting close. With the price of oil and natural gas going up, and the technology is getting better all the time. I don't know if you know, last year Coca-Cola opened the largest bottle-to-bottle recycling factory in South Carolina. And they went public and said, we want every bottle back that we sell. Because they have figured out how to make a bottle cheaper out of a bottle than oil. And that's a huge breakthrough, okay? Plastic is close. Glass is still a loser. and I don't know what it's going to take. Probably the bottle bill states, if you all know about bottle bills where you have a 10% deposit, those states are doing great getting their bottles, their glass back. Glass is a very economic packaging as long as you don't have to ship it far. So if you have local cleaning and refilling businesses, then glass is really an environmental choice. So those are the 4 big ones, right? Metal, plastic, glass, and paper. Now let's get into the hard to recycle stuff, the weird stuff, where in Boulder, by the way, you have the first hard to recycle materials facility in the world. You can recycle computers, you can recycle styrofoam, you can recycle, Lord, I can't even think of all the things. It's on our website, EcoCycle.org. Every year we add a new item, and it was a partnership with the city of Boulder. They're helping run, they pay about 25% of my operating costs. The goal of that project was to be as cheap or cheaper than the landfill, and we achieved it. You know, you don't throw away anything for free, right? It costs you somewhere. Well, Charm will cost you less than the landfill, and it's infinitely more green than the landfill. So we achieved our goal, okay, on that one. Even styrofoam, we're starting to find a market for clean styrofoam. Not food styrofoam, that's an issue. But the block stuff your TV comes in, let's see. You know, the stuff you want to stay away from is the oddball plastics. There's good markets for number 1s and number 2s. Any other number on the bottom, the markets are really tough. Because you have to have a pile big enough for an investor to invest in the equipment to recycle it. And the piles of 3, 4, 5, 6s, and 7s just aren't big enough. These specialty plastics are a real problem. And they're very toxic to make. We'll never get rid of them completely because some plastics are so brilliant in their engineering and what they give to us as a society that probably overrides the need to recycle them. So that's why I say zero waste or darn near. We won't get to zero, and that's okay. We need some of those exotic plastics in the hospital. You know what I mean? They'll be there. So if we get to 90%, we've changed the world. You know, I'll die a happy man if we get to a 90% world because we can handle the 10%. But we won't stop there. I have a feeling once we hit 90, we'll just keep going.